So we talk a lot about money laundering on this show, but I don't think we've ever really taken an opportunity to fully explain what it is. So this week we're going to take a break out from the stories and talk about what money laundering is and what some common money laundering steps look like so you can help keep your family safe from scams, hacks, and frauds. Please remember to like and subscribe on your podcast platform of choice. So if you've never heard the term before, money laundering might convey pictures of putting large amounts of cash into a laundry machine to wash away the notes and coins of whatever grime might be on them. Unfortunately, actual money laundering is nothing nearly so whimsical. It involves a lot of bookkeeping and accounting. It gets its name because it's the art of taking money from a dirty source, which might be the sale of drugs, a scam, or just outright theft, and disguising its origin so you can't tell where it came from, or make it clean money. Regardless of what form it takes, money laundering is illegal in its own right, and often, the way the law is written, you can potentially be convicted of it without even knowing that you're doing it. We previously covered the tragic story of Ebony King, who was convicted when a family friend who owed her money overpaid her directly into a bank account, which she then took out of an ATM to pay the friend back. It should go without saying this is absolutely something you should not try at home. Money laundering operations are typically split into 3 phases: placement, layering, and integration. In placement, the criminal's goal is to get the dirty money into the financial system. Typically, criminal transactions are done in cash, although cryptocurrency is also popular. They don't typically take Visa or MasterCard. But if a criminal were to make a large cash or crypto transaction, this would undoubtedly raise questions about where the money came from. So what's a criminal to do? Sometimes they call in the Smurfs. No, really. Criminals break their ill-gotten gains into smaller amounts for others, the Smurfs, to place into their bank accounts and then pass on the chain. The more grown-up name for this is structuring, as you're structuring your transactions in sizes and frequency as to not set off alarms. But the idea of Smurfs with little bank accounts breaking up big money into smaller amounts, well, it seems cute. Other times, they'll set up fake businesses and issue fake invoices, or pretend to sell goods without ever sending any goods. If you've ever gone past a shop or a restaurant that never looks like it's open, or no one ever seems to go into it, but never seems to close down, I'm not saying for sure it's a front for money laundering, but it could be. Here in the UK, American candy stores are often accused of being linked to money laundering, disguising illegitimate funds within real purchases. We've also previously covered the story of a Chinese ring that would take ill-gotten gift cards, buy thousands of dollars of tech at a time, and then pass them on to other gang members to sell later. We now move on to the next phase, layering. This phase can take a lot of different forms, and as times change, new ways are discovered to do this all the time. This could be moving money between bank accounts, buying things to refund them, going to a casino to buy a load of chips, not staying very long and then cashing them out. A criminal could also use fake invoices like before. Often, students are recruited to take part in this process. Desperate for money and short on time for legitimate work, they're prime targets for money mule teams. Money is transferred into their bank account and the student transfers it out again. Not only is this illegal, if it is money laundering, but if they're caught, it can see them lose access to bank accounts and other essential financial services for the rest of their lives. Layering also looks for ways to move money across borders, particularly to accounts in countries with less security and scrutiny. And changing the currency also helps disguise where it comes from. In the cryptocurrency world, you'll often see advertisements for services called tumblers, or mixing services. With crypto, all transactions are in a publicly accessible blockchain, so in theory, all transactions should be traceable. But what these tumblers do is mix things up. A group of crypto users who want some additional anonymity pool a group of their coins. The tumbler then gives each one of the users an equivalent amount of crypto from the other participants, sometimes broken up into different transactions to mask them further, and they usually take a small commission for their effort. The stock market can also be used for layering. Rapid buying and selling can make it very difficult to understand what's going on and where the money has originally come from. Layering can also happen repeatedly. The more layers you add, the harder it is to trace the money, but you do lose a little money with each layer, so there is a bit of a trade-off. The last step in money laundering is integration. If you think of money laundering as being like a slot machine, the money in is the placement, the spinning wheels are the layering, and the integration is the tray where the money comes out. You usually end up with less than what you put in. The money is now dispersed and absorbed into the normal legal money system. You can now take whatever form the money has taken at the end of the layering process, sell it, or turn it back into money you can use and cash it out. If you bought crypto, sell the crypto. If you bought stocks or real estate, sell that. Whatever's left at the end of the process is now clear to use. In theory, at least. Financial companies in most countries have very strict obligations to look for and stop money laundering and fraud. When I worked in insurance in the UK, we were not even allowed to call the team that deals with fraud the fraud team, at least where a customer could hear. They were instead given some generic name like customer relations, or we said that there was some sort of underwriting issue. That might sound weird, but if we were to let a customer know that we suspected fraud, this could actually be a criminal offence in itself called tipping off, which can result in fines or even jail time. We mentioned students being recruited as money mules earlier when talking about layering. The very first thing that many of these students experience that tells them that they've done something wrong is a letter received in the post telling them their bank account will be closed. This letter will not give a specific reason. Remember, the bank can't tip them off, leaving the recipient confused about what's going on, and no one at the bank will be willing to explain it. And since banks do share information about fraud with each other, they'll be even more confused when the other banks say no. If you've made a large purchase, like a house, you may have heard of an AML check or anti-money laundering check. When I bought my home, I was required to show where I got my down payment funds from, which meant showing the bank accounts they come from, and how I'd got the funds to put into that bank account. It is a hassle, but this is why they do it. They have to stop money laundering from happening. They have to look for it happening. And when it happens on their watch, they're potentially liable for it. You may have been asked for information about yourself when taking a new financial service, such as your income or your employer, as well as your address history, even if you're not borrowing money. These are called KYC or Know Your Customer checks. As part of this process, it's common for your name and other ID information to be checked against lists of people who have committed fraud before or who are not allowed to engage in financial transactions due to international sanctions. If you're asked to do one of these checks or asked for this information, please don't take your frustration out on the customer service agent. They literally don't have a choice. They don't get a say in what gets asked, and these checks keep criminals out of the financial system. And if you're asked to do something with your bank account or crypto that seems strange or you don't understand, stay away. I've been C, and this has been Scams, Hacks, and Frauds. Next time, we're going to look at an employment scam, which, if it wasn't a scam, would have been textbook layering, and still might actually be layering on top of the scam. So please, share us with someone you know who's looking for work, so we can help keep them safe too. Scams, Hacks and Frauds is available for free under the Creative Commons with Attribution Share-alike license. If you are reusing our content, the music cannot be reused under this license. You can find more information and our previous shows, along with all transcripts, at www.scamshacksandfrauds.com.